And the Oscar goes to Clint Eastwood for Unforgiven.
Every day, I share another story from the Golden Age and the moments that shaped an unforgettable era. If you'd like to keep these memories alive with me, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot. Thank you for being here. Now let's begin. Picture this: Beverly Hills, 1993. The Four Seasons lobby is buzzing with noise and ego, packed with producers in slick Armani suits and award winners sipping whiskey like it's holy water. And near the grand piano, standing completely alone, is Clint Eastwood. Arms crossed, face unreadable, eyes ice cold like he's sizing up the whole room. Across the space, a young up-and-coming actor is putting on a full show. Loud, flashy, acting like he owns the place. He's laughing too hard, bragging non-stop, tossing names around like confetti, and finishing it all off by doing a cheap imitation of the legendary cowboy standing alone in the corner. People crack up instantly, trying to look cool, trying to fit in. Everyone laughs, except Clint. He says nothing. No glare, no comment, nothing. He just finishes his drink, gives the bartender a single nod, and walks out without even blinking in that actor's direction. Pure silence. The kind of silence that doesn't just shut down a moment. It shuts down a career. 4 years later, Hollywood was whispering about that night like it was some kind of ghost story. What did Clint hear? What exactly was said? And why did that actor's name suddenly disappear from every Warner Brothers casting list? Nobody ever found out because Clint Eastwood never explained a thing. He didn't complain, didn't run to the press, didn't fire off statements. He just erased people quietly, coldly, permanently. But now, at 94, cracks are starting to show in that wall of silence. In a few rare flashes of honesty, the legend has begun revealing a pattern. 5 names. 5 people he never forgave. These weren't small arguments or petty misunderstandings. These were the ones who mocked him, challenged what he stood for, or made the mistake of thinking Clint Eastwood would ever forget something like that. And the first name on that list? A documentary firestarter who tried to build his fame by clowning Clint Eastwood's beliefs. Clint didn't find it funny at all. He didn't smirk, didn't joke back. He shut it down in an instant. It all sparked from one moment, a moment Michael Moore treated like a casual joke. At the 2005 National Board of Review Awards, Clint Eastwood stepped up to the mic and said flatly, "Michael Moore and I actually have a lot in common. We both appreciate documentaries, but if he ever shows up at my front door with a camera, I'll kill him." The room went stiff. Nervous chuckles, a few sharp breaths, but no smile, no wink from Clint, nothing to soften the blow. That line didn't feel like a joke. It felt like a boundary carved in stone. Moore never pushed that line again, but that moment exposed something deeper simmering underneath. Moore had been riding the shockwave from Fahrenheit 9/11, calling out the Bush era and the wars that followed September 11th with fiery commentary. Moore saw his work as justice-driven, bold, eye-opening. But to Eastwood, it looked completely different. A kind of spectacle that turned real sacrifice into attention-grabbing drama. By then, Clint wasn't just an actor. He had just wrapped Million Dollar Baby and was gearing up for Flags of Our Fathers, films he treated with serious respect for American service and the pain that came with it. So when he looked at Moore's work, it didn't feel like documentary. It felt like exploitation. After that moment, their worlds never crossed again. No collaborations, no conversations, not even a shared frame on screen. Just a cold, unmoving distance born from one warning that Clint Eastwood never needed to repeat. If you brought this up to Clint today, he'd probably just lift one eyebrow, let out that low, annoyed grunt he's known for, and slide the conversation somewhere totally different. Clint Eastwood doesn't do loud feuds. He does quiet disappearances. But Michael Moore wasn't the only filmmaker bold enough to poke at him. The next one pushed even harder, calling Clint out on a global stage and accusing him of rewriting history. Spike Lee, a clash over legacy that Hollywood still whispers about. Clint almost never fires back, but in 2008 he made a rare exception, and trust me, it wasn't gentle. When Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima dropped, critics praised the ambitious double film idea. One side American, one side Japanese, both raw, emotional, and brutally human. But Spike Lee looked at those films and said something huge was missing. He blasted Clint for leaving out the black Marines who fought at Iwo Jima, saying the movie erased their presence and their sacrifice. "You can't just pretend they weren't there," Spike insisted. Clint didn't respond with some smooth PR statement or peaceful explanation. He shot back with a blunt line that hit like a whip. "A guy like him should shut his face." It wasn't polite, it was explosive. Overnight, headlines went wild. Spike fired back instantly. "I'm not going to shut up. He sounds like an angry old man." For 4 straight days, Hollywood was locked in on this showdown. 2 giants of cinema going head-to-head, each representing totally different worlds. One, the quiet, rugged traditionalist. The other, the fearless provocateur, pushing for louder truths. This wasn't just a disagreement about a film. It ripped open one of Hollywood's deepest tensions. Who gets to tell America's story, and whose voices get pushed out of the frame? Some people tried to explain it away, tried to soften Clint's comment or decode what he really meant. But Clint didn't clarify anything. His silence was his answer. To Clint, Flags of Our Fathers was always about one specific group of men, a tight, focused lens on a single story. He wasn't chasing approval, wasn't checking boxes, wasn't trying to satisfy critics. He was chasing the truth as he understood it, and nobody, not even Spike Lee, was going to tell him how to shape his film. Spike, on the other hand, saw something much bigger at stake. To him, history isn't just about who's holding the camera. It's about who gets left outside the shot. It wasn't a small disagreement. It was a clash of values, a fight over what stories deserve to be seen and who has the responsibility to tell them. And with 2 men as strong-willed, proud, and rooted in their own principles as Eastwood and Lee, there was never going to be a middle ground. They haven't spoken since. No panels together, no polite carpet greetings, not even a passing nod toward each other's work. Just a long, cold silence between 2 masters of the craft. And if you think Clint only snapped when dealing with other directors, think again. His next confrontation happened right in his own backyard, on his own set, with one of the biggest actors on the planet. A man whose style pushed Clint to the edge, and Clint made it clear he wasn't impressed. Leonardo DiCaprio, method actor versus gunslinger. 2 icons from completely different universes colliding, one chasing deep emotional layers in every take, and the other demanding grit, instinct, and straight-shooting focus. Eastwood, the old-school craftsman who trusted instinct, silence, and sharp efficiency. When he cast Leonardo DiCaprio as J. Edgar Hoover in 2011, Hollywood lit up instantly. It felt like 2 different eras colliding. The classic gunslinger filmmaker teaming up with the intense New Age method superstar. But behind the curtain, sparks were flying from day one. Clint's directing style is famous. One take, minimal rehearsal, no wasted movement. He shoots like a man who already sees the whole movie in his head. But DiCaprio came in with a different rhythm. Layered, detailed, and heavy with emotional digging. Clint called that one-take simplicity instinct. Leo called it incomplete. And from there, things turned into a quiet standoff instead of a smooth collaboration. DiCaprio works like an excavator, digging, questioning, refining, going take after take until he squeezes out the emotional pulse of a scene. He lives inside the role and picks at every detail. But Clint, he's cutting the moment the performance lands clean, already saying, "All right, moving on." While Leo chased deeper meaning, Clint pushed for momentum and flow. People on set started whispering. Crew members noticed the mismatch instantly. One insider said it felt like watching a racehorse try to run in cowboy boots, and everyone nodded because it just fit. No shouting matches, no storming off set, just a steady, cold tension between 2 masters who saw filmmaking from completely opposite angles. Leo tried to adjust his style. Clint didn't budge. The movie got done, it came out, and that was that. No second project together, no mutual praise in interviews, not even a friendly Oscar night nod. Clint is known for reusing actors he respects. Morgan Freeman, Bradley Cooper, Tom Hanks, but DiCaprio never got that second call. And people around Hollywood noticed the silence loud and clear. Some insiders said it was simply creative friction. Others whispered that Clint found Leo too intense, too dramatic, maybe even too wrapped up in himself. Either way, their paths split cleanly, and Eastwood never looked back. But if DiCaprio pushed Clint's patience behind the scenes, the next man didn't just challenge him privately. He dragged Clint's legacy into the spotlight and mocked it in front of the entire world, publicly and loudly. Seth Rogen. The sniper insult Clint never forgot. Some actors make their enemies quietly. Seth made his loud enough for everyone to hear. In 2014, Clint released American Sniper, the story of Navy SEAL Chris Kyle, a film that split critics but packed theaters, becoming a cultural lightning bolt. For millions, it felt like a patriotic tribute. But for Rogen, it sparked a very different reaction. Just days after the release, he fired off a tweet, a quick joke he probably typed without thinking twice, but it hit Hollywood like a grenade. He wrote, "American Sniper kind of reminds me of that movie playing in the third act of Inglourious Bastards. You know the one where the Nazi sniper is killing Allied soldiers?" Seth didn't mention Clint by name. He didn't need to. The implication exploded instantly, comparing American Sniper to Nazi propaganda. In Hollywood, that's not a small jab. That's nuclear. Rogen later tried to say it was just a joke, just a random comparison, but the damage was already carved in stone. And Clint, he didn't tweet back, didn't go on talk shows, didn't send out statements. Clint doesn't do online battles. He uses silence like a weapon, cold, precise, final. But behind closed doors, people close to him said he was furious, not just at the insult itself, but at the way it was done, tossed out for millions to see like some kind of cheap drive-by joke. Clint didn't see humor in it. He saw disrespect. And when Rogen later tried to explain he didn't mean American Sniper was propaganda, the apology never landed, not even a little. Not in Clint's inbox, and definitely not in his heart. After that moment, Seth Rogen's name vanished from Clint Eastwood's entire universe. Clint never mentioned him again, never considered working with him, and insiders said he quietly made it clear, if Seth Rogen's name ever landed on a casting list, it should disappear just as fast. Because if there's one thing Clint Eastwood does not forgive, it's disrespect wrapped in a smile, especially when someone tries to mask mockery as humor. But the final name on Clint's private list wasn't a comedian or a loud provocateur. This one was a peer, an equal, someone who stood beside him on screen with the same legendary presence. And their break didn't explode in headlines. It slow burned for years, silent and sharp, right under Hollywood's nose. Gene Hackman, the rival Clint could never fully direct. On screen, they were electric. Off screen, they barely spoke at all. In 1992, Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman teamed up for Unforgiven, the film that flipped the Western genre on its head and swept the Oscars. From the outside, it looked like two masters working in perfect harmony. But behind those cold stares and deadly standoffs, a quiet tension was building, stubborn, heavy, and impossible to ignore. It became one of the few times Clint's control was truly tested. Clint is known for running a set like a perfectly timed watch, calm, smooth, built on trust and respect. He values silence, focus, and absolute discipline. Hackman, though, he was a different kind of storm. Fiery, unpredictable, always looking to push, question, and challenge the moment. From the very first week on Unforgiven, people on set could feel the friction. Hackman didn't take direction easily. He'd cut Clint off mid-sentence, question camera choices out loud, push for changes in the script, not out of rebellion, but out of sheer pride. He wasn't trying to insult Clint, but he definitely wasn't going to bow to him either. One crew member remembered a moment during a key scene. Hackman stopped in the middle of a line, turned straight to Clint and said, "That line doesn't work. I'm not saying it." Clint didn't yell, didn't snap, didn't argue. He just stared at Hackman for a long, icy moment and replied soft but unshakable, "You will." The room froze. No shouting match, no dramatic showdown, just a quiet, final authority that sucked the air right out of the space. After that, the tension hovered over the set like heat rising off desert rock. Everyone felt it, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Their conflict never went public. No headlines, no rumors of blow-ups, but the silence between them was louder than any argument could have been. There was respect, absolutely, but no warmth, no friendship, no shared jokes between takes. They worked beside each other like two lone wolves who refused to share the same territory. When Unforgiven took home Oscar Gold, both men walked away as winners. But that was the last time they ever worked together. Clint never hired Hackman again, never referred to him as a favorite collaborator, never put his name beside folks like Morgan Freeman or Richard Harris when talking about the film's legacy. Hackman's name just stayed absent, quietly, intentionally absent. Now, yep, people close to the production said the respect was real, but the relationship was broken beyond repair. Too much pride, too much friction, and in Clint's world, that means one and done. Hackman would eventually retire from acting, while Eastwood kept shaping movies with precision, choosing cast and crew with more care than ever. Because for Clint, chemistry isn't about star power, it's about trust, and once that trust cracks, there's no patching it up. Two legends, one masterpiece, and a silence that never lifted. Because when Clint Eastwood closes a door, that door stays shut for life. The silence of the gunslinger? Clint Eastwood never needed to shout to get his point across. He didn't rant, he didn't gossip, he didn't drag his grudges into interviews. He just watched, remembered, and once someone crossed the line, he removed them from his world, quietly but completely. In an industry built on charm, alliances, and big personalities, Eastwood built his reputation on something far stronger: conviction. Steady, unshakable conviction. And for 5 people, 5 names now etched into Hollywood history, working with Clint wasn't just a job, it was a test. Some passed, some failed loudly. So now the question shifts to you. Was Clint Eastwood right to keep that silence? Or did some of those grudges cut deeper than they should have? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you felt something real, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.